Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. On today's episode, Jenny and I are going to try to give names to the shapes that you see on your graph. So when you're looking at your CGM and you start low and it goes up high really quickly and comes back down, what do we call that? Is it a spike? Is it a peak? And what about the graphs that look like roller coaster tracks? Or how about those quick drops that come back up again? We're going to try to define them, to give them names so that we can talk about them on the podcast, so that we can take your graphs and try to figure them out on an audio show in a way that will allow you to follow along. Let's see if we can do it. Please don't forget that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by Medtronic Diabetes and their MiniMed 780G system, designed to help ease the burden of diabetes management. Imagine fewer worries about missed boluses or miscalculated carbs, thanks to meal detection technology and automatic correction doses. Learn more and get started today at medtronicdiabetes.com/juicebox. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by the Contour NextGen blood glucose meter. Learn more and get started today at contournext.com/juicebox. Jenny, we're going to try something today.
Yay.
I do not know if we're going to be successful.
Okay.
We'll know
this is a new idea?
This is a completely new idea.
Yay.
I don't know how successful we're going to be, but I'd like to try to quantify the different graphs on a CGM with words and give them names so that we can later make episodes where we talk about graphs in a way that people who don't have a visual can follow along with.
Okay.
So we have to identify the shapes, the pathway of the dots on a CGM, and then give them a fun name that people can remember.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Well, I can think of one, like when we're talking about graphs, and I've used it a million times before, right? When you're eating real food or a mix of foods that contain carbohydrates, and we've talked about it in terms of insulin timing and what things should look like on a graph. Mm-hmm. It should look somewhat like a bell curve, if people are familiar with that term.
Okay.
Right? Time your insulin right, blood sugar should go up some. You might have a target range you want to stick with, but that up should plateau, and then it should nicely curve back down so that by the time the bolus is done working and your basal is well set, it lands you and you stay stable.
Okay.
That's one I can think of.
That's awesome. So I'm putting bell curve here on my list. I have an extensive list here.
Oh.
So there's 20 of them. And I don't think, oh, sorry, I didn't mute my phone.
It's okay. Somebody's alarming for some reason.
Arden's over 130. If that's beeping. Yep. Okay. So bell curve, and we'll get a little description for it. So we have that on the list. So here's an easy one, like a flat and stable line that's in range, right? Mm-hmm. So a flat line that's going on forever, we need to know how to talk about it. So I think that one we can just call flat line, right?
You could call it the state of Ohio. No.
Because it's flat. I don't know if people outside of the Midwest are going to understand that or not.
It's flat.
So steady and in range with no real deviation, we'll call that a flat line.
Yes.
Fair? Okay.
Fair.
So now a post-meal spike, a sharp rise after eating that will end with a sharp drop.
Okay. So it's almost like a mountain. Okay. Yeah. It would be like a mountain peak almost, because some mountain ranges just go up and kind of stay up. This is really a mountain peak.
Okay. So we're going to call a post-meal spike that drops back down again a mountain peak. Mm-hmm. All right. So we have a flat line. We have a bell curve. So we'll call it a bell, right? Yep. We have a mountain peak. Now, a rise that dips down from insulin and then rises back up again from fat and protein.
So it rises up first, it comes down,
goes back
and then it goes back up.
Camelback? Just camel, maybe?
Well, that really depends on what kind of camel you're talking about. Did you know that there are two kinds of camels?
Well, there's a one-hump camel.
There's the one hump, which is a dromedary.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And the other hump, I can't remember the name of it, but it looks like if you turn a bee on its side, it's two-humped. Okay. And there is a name for that type of camel, too. So one hump is a dromedary, and the other one is be something. Or it's at our zoo. I should know this because my boys read it every time that we go to the zoo.
Wait, okay. A two-humped, what's the camel called? Hold on a second.
What is a two-humped camel called?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to find out.
Bactrian. I knew I would remember it.
Seriously?
Bactrian. Yeah, Bactrian. Bactrian camel is a two-humped camel.
There you go. Okay. Well, we can't call it Bactrian because nobody's going to know what that means.
They just call it the two-humped camel.
So we're going to call it a two-hump you get married and you'll have a two-hump year.
There you go.
A two-hump camel. Okay. Roller coaster. Big swings up and down, like from chasing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But does roller coaster indicate to you sharp ups and downs or up, down more?
It could be honestly either. It could be, gosh, I see the mountain peak coming, so I'm going to get ahead of it staying high. So now I really try to crush it.
Yeah.
And it's way too much. And now I come way down and, oh gosh, I'm going to crash. And now I treat it and it goes way back up. That could be a little bit more pointy. Whereas something that is a little bit of a smoother roller coaster might be a different type of meal or, whatever. So it could be either.
We can use roller coaster as a general, but then when we talk about it more like a peak or a gradual roller coaster, like either like a sharp up, sharp down, or gradual up, gradual down. One way or the other, up, down, up, down, up, down forever is a roller coaster. I think of it as like you're chasing the blood sugar.
It is. Yeah. And in the daytime, chasing blood sugar because of variables. In the nighttime, if it's up, down, something's wrong with your settings.
Okay. What about the one that kind of goes up, stops, goes up again, stops, keeps like it kind of like staircases and you can see them go down too. Like what scenario?
Almost like a pyramid.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You
like you're building climbing, a level on it.
Building a level up. Yeah.
Is that from, I guess that could be a lot of things. It could be bad basal. It could be an infusion site that's not right? It could be a little bit of a fat. I've seen it sometimes with algorithms. You go up and you hit that kind of like you've missed it and it boluses a little and you come down a little bit and then it brings you back up again. It's almost like up, like an up down staircase. So there's a couple. All right. So there's 6.
It's not a roller coaster. It is a continual climb that might have little plateaus.
Yep. And then
as
up
things
again,
are happening.
And then it's the algorithm. Like you go up, the algorithm thinks insulin, but it's never going to give you enough. And so then you get a little stability for a while. Don't really go down, and then it goes up again. So more like staircasing up, and it can happen in the down too.
And it might be around foods that they might have a fair carb content to them, but they also might have a really good fat content. And so you may not have timed well enough to stop that initial rise up. And then as the insulin does get working along with the food, the fat at times is actually slowing down what would otherwise be a pretty rapid rise, like the mountain peak effect, right? Where you're just going to keep going up. Whereas with fat included, you're going to get a little bit of an inching. And eventually that might even, if you don't know well enough to cover proteins or fats, you might actually get that inch up and then it just plateaus at the top.
Yeah. Have you ever seen somebody do a cat ears on their Dexcom?
Yeah.
They get a meal spike and a quick drop, but it doesn't go all the way back down. And then it's a little stable, higher, and then it happens again, like a quick spike, and then they really crush it the second time, and it drop, and then they'll drop they'll draw cat eyes on it or whiskers or something like that.
I've seen, yeah.
So we'll call that one. What do we call that one? Cat eyes? No, cat head? No, we can't call it cat head.
Call it, I don't know, just cat?
Cat. All right, for now, we'll call it cat. It just occurred to me as I thought of that to Google it. And now I'm thinking we should probably just Google that with like
maybe Chat GPT could come up with a fancy name for all of these.
Well, we're going to have to come up with something here. All right. So then there's the dawn phenomenon kind of curve, right? Like you're super flat overnight and the morning comes and then you're just on that like slow, steady climb that goes forever. I think of that one as the Price is Right game, the mountain climber game.
Oh, gosh, I haven't thought about the Price is Right in forever.
Thank you. I'm going to call that one climb. Like, oh, we already used Mountain Peak. No one's going to know what that is.
No one's going to know what that means.
Yeah. So it's a very consistent and steady increase.
You could call it the rock climber.
Yeah, that's more up. That's more straight up though, right? When you're climbing. I'm going to write Price is Right here so we can figure out something more.
It's too bad we couldn't find one to call Plinko. That was the one that I always like to watch.
There are
Plinko.
some that look like that, but maybe we could call it the Bob Barker. Actually, people wouldn't even.
Kind of funny.
Who's the other guy? Drew Carey?
Drew Carey
Bob
took
Barker's
over.
funnier. All right, hold on a second. Maybe we'll call that Bob Barker. Now.
Bob Barker. Oh my gosh.
You don't forget to spay or neuter your animals. Remember he would do that? Did that
100%.
That little microphone? Mm-hmm. He lived a long time, by the way.
And he was on that show for a long time, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So the next one I have here is like a sharp plunge for hypoglycemia. Like it just drops off a cliff, right?
That's what I call it, falling off a cliff. You call it cliff diving.
Okay. Cliff diving. That's good. All right.
Because that's what I always... And there are some scenarios that definitely go along with that, right? Mm-hmm. One of that I'm frequently use that term kind of for is when a sensor is being compressed, because it looks like the sensor data is just like diving right off of where it was stable before, and it just takes an immediate like plunge. Right. So that's one scenario of something like that. But another one would be obviously way too much insulin for a scenario that wasn't planned for, right?
I think of them a little differently because the compression low, which I think is what you're describing, they look a little different to me because they're not a consistent fall. Like sometimes
they're not a consistent line of dots.
Yeah. And sometimes you get like the disappearing, like it almost ghosts you. Like it's there and then it's gone. And when it comes back, it's 15 points lower.
Right.
And then stable again. Like there's something about the compression low. If you're not actually falling during the low, every time it shows back up, it shows back stable. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think compression low is just what we'll call that one.
Yes.
So cliff dive, compression low. Now, flat but elevated. So you've woefully missed on a meal, probably, right? And your basal's holding you steady, but it's holding you steady way too high forever. Like a plateau?
That would be a plateau.
Okay. All right. Good.
Is there a name for those? Like out in the West, where all of the...
So we're looking for...
a name for those plateaus that are elevated above the actual ground. It's almost like a mountain that goes up, but it doesn't have a peak top. It's just flat. I thought there was a name for those.
Cross your fingers that it's called, it says it's called a plateau.
Oh.
I said, what is a raised but flat natural structure called?
A plateau. Okay.
Other natural words sometimes used depending on nuance. Mesa?
Oh, a mesa. That's what I was thinking.
Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah.
Butte and tableland.
Oh, a butte. Yeah, there's crested butte. There's,
But plateau is something, I think that's a word people know, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Because now we're doing this for the people listening because we are, at some point, Jenny and I are going to record short episodes where we take somebody's graph and talk through what we think happened to it. But it's, of course, going to be audio only. And so you need to be able to visualize
what the graph looks like.
So that's why she and I are doing this now. Hopefully you'll find this interesting. And then one day you'll hear a series of I don't know. I haven't figured out what to call that yet, but maybe graph breakdowns or something like that. Okay, let's see. So plateau and then meal stacking peaks, multiple back-to-back spikes from closely spaced meal stacks. Today's episode is sponsored by Medtronic Diabetes, who is making life with diabetes easier with the MiniMed 780G system. The MiniMed 780G automated insulin delivery system anticipates, adjusts, and corrects every 5 minutes. Real-world results show people achieving up to 80% time in range with recommended settings without increasing lows, but of course, individual results may vary. The 780G works around the clock so you can focus on what matters. Have you heard about Medtronic's extended infusion set? It's the first and only infusion set labeled for up to a 7-day wear. This feature is repeatedly asked for, and Medtronic has delivered. 97% of people using the 780G reported that they could manage their diabetes without major disruptions of sleep. They felt more free to eat what they wanted, and they felt less stress with fewer alarms and alerts. You can't beat that. Learn more about how you can spend less time and effort managing your diabetes by visiting medtronicdiabetes.com/juicebox. The Contour NextGen blood glucose meter is sponsoring this episode of the Juicebox Podcast. And it's entirely possible that it is less expensive in cash than you're paying right now for your meter through your insurance company. That's right. If you go to my link, contournext.com/juicebox, you're going to find links to Walmart, Amazon, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Kroger, and Meijer. You could be paying more right now through your insurance for your test strips and meter than you would pay through my link for the Contour NextGen and Contour Next test strips in cash. What am I saying? My link may be cheaper out of your pocket than you're paying right now, even with your insurance. And I don't know what meter you have right now. I can't say that. But what I can say for sure is that the Contour NextGen meter is accurate. It is reliable, and it is the meter that we've been using for years. contournext.com/juicebox. And if you already have a Contour meter and you're buying test strips, doing so through the Juicebox Podcast link will help to support the show. So, right? We call them...
it would be almost like a mountain range.
Alpine?
Yeah.
Right.
Because it would almost be like you've gotten up to the peak of a mountain, but it just stays up there and keeps going up and down.
Yeah. It's like a lightning bolt moving up to the right. So there's no backdrop. There's like spike, little weight, spike, little weight, spike, little weight. So that can happen if you get behind one meal and then you start eating more and more meals, or another course of something or something like that. Okay, so we can call that. So what are we going to call that? Lightning bolt? What did I just say? Alpine?
I think lightning bolt is more of like a...
Yeah, jagged.
I'm thinking more of it goes up and then it's more of like a plateau with peak kind of along the way.
Right.
So you called it something?
Alpine?
Alpine. There
Okay.
you go.
Gentle rise or gentle fall across an entire day. I call that a drift.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Is it a basal drift?
Depends on what you see
scenario.
in the data.
Just drift.
Yeah.
Okay. A drop during activity and then a delayed spike hours later. That a thing you see a lot?
Yes. I mean, there are good reasons for it. I actually just got done talking with somebody about those issues. A name for it, though.
So,
I mean, to bring in relevance to description without an actual graph visual for people who are listening,
yeah.
It has to be a name that's centered around exercise. Right?
Activity drop.
Didn't plan well.
Jenny's like, I just interviewed a woman earlier today that, when she was first diagnosed, somebody told her, you need to, when you go to have a baby one day, I need you to plan a year in advance. And then years later, when she went to have a baby, she followed those instructions. She started planning a year before she had her baby.
Good for her.
She said that a combination of your book and my episodes about pregnancy, she had a very smooth pregnancy.
That's awesome.
So,
Yay.
But she planned ahead. And it made me think of that when you said didn't plan. I don't think we can call an activity drop.
No.
You up.
I was totally kidding.
Something about activity, exercise, that's going to take some... You know what we're going to do? We're going to take this list and I'm going to take it online and I am going to get people. Yeah, I'm going to get feedback because there's probably a thing people colloquially call this stuff, right? So
that could be.
All right. Predictable spike linked to menstrual cycle, puberty, stress, or cortisol. So hormonal, I don't know. That's still just a spike, right? Does that look?
It is. But if we have some data that we're talking about and we know it's relative to a hormonal change, it may make sense to call it hormones.
Okay. All right. Do you think it's a thing we'll see on a graph at some point? I mean, somebody's going to say to me, this is my period, right? And we're going to have to be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. So why don't we call it a hormonal surge?
There you go. Great.
I like the way surge sounds there. Compression low, we went over already. A late night spike. So hours after a meal. I mean, we're talking about like, a pizza you ate at 10:30 or something like that. Then you get that kind of like, see, I prefer to call
it restaurant hit.
It's a fat rise in my mind.
Oftentimes it is.
Yeah.
If, again, we're basing this on all other things are tested and true, right? And if they aren't, then go back to the drawing board and don't use this until you have settings that are pretty good. But for something like this, that's why I said restaurant, because it's often a fat hit that's very late.
Mm-hmm. There's another one that the shape of it looks like a shark fin. So it's sort of like a quick spike and then a slow drift.
Yeah.
Right. So you get I'm holding my hands up. No one listening, because this is going to be the problem. So you get that quick spike, but then more of an A-frame like drift away. So that shark fin, that one will be an easy one.
Yeah.
The zigzag. Have you ever seen a zigzag? Just like sawtooth, it just keeps going like that forever and ever all day long.
Kind of like the roller coaster.
Yeah, I guess so, right? Zigzag roller coaster. All right.
They're kind of similar.
All right, I'm deleting that one. Boom. I'm very easy to get along with. That one's gone. Long stretch, a prolonged plateau. Plateau is a plateau. We don't need that listed twice. What about when two of the shapes come together? Because there's going to be repeatable stuff. I'm making this up, but after we do this for a while, what we're going to see is that people come out of a roller coaster and go into a bell, or people come out of a bell curve and into we need a word for the transition. What is it going to be called when two graphs
are on the same day?
One turns into the next. Like there's a name for that transition there. The coupling of that's harder. Maybe we're going to have to workshop that. Maybe that'll come up naturally while we're having the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did think of something while you were just talking about that night rise.
Mm-hmm.
It could also be relative to kid growth.
Yeah, growth.
Because it's very common for kiddos who have, especially younger kids who have early enough dinners. They're not eating at 8 or 9 o'clock at night for the most part. Mm-hmm. They're eating a dinner at 5, maybe 6 o'clock. And then they end up going to bed. And as soon as they fall asleep or their head hits the pillow, up their blood sugar goes. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely different than restaurant effect, but it's an age-specific issue.
Growth hormone? But
it is.
Describe it to me, though. What's it look like visually?
Visually, it looks like they ate something and didn't bolus and literally had no insulin for it at all. They have a really nice, smooth post-dinner, trucking along, really nice and stable into bedtime. And as soon as they fall asleep, up it goes. I see it too in the afternoon for kiddos who still nap. Mm-hmm. We often will have some type of a setting that accommodates for an afternoon 2 or 3 p.m. snack, because if it's not covered, up their blood sugar goes because they fall asleep.
Is what usually happens a spike? Is it drastic usually?
It's usually drastic.
Okay.
In fact, it's one of the most frequent things that I hear parents complain about. How do I get over? I can do the day, but this end of night thing that happens, I feel like I give 3 times the amount of insulin that I would normally give during the day, and it still is way too high. So
unchecked, does it go to a plateau at some point?
Very likely it would go to a plateau at some point, yes.
Okay.
But today's parents really, they don't want that for their child.
Yeah, no one's looking for that.
I wouldn't want that for myself or my child either. And so the plateau is hard to see unless you really tell somebody, hey, we have to watch for what is the rise? How can we average the rise, see how much you get before it actually stabilizes too high? Mm-hmm. And then we can figure out a strategy for bolusing to prevent it.
Okay. I have a real feeling about how this is going to go because, this is starting to make a little sense to me, because using that as an example, like somebody's going to show you that graph and the person who's showing it to you does not know what's happening. Right. And so a person will come online and go, that looks like growth hormone to me. And that'll be the end of it. But as you and I talk through each one of these shapes, because that's going to be the next thing, I'm going to send you all the shapes and then we're going to talk through the shapes.
Fabulous.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Are you going to draw them yourself?
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. I'm hoping people will send me
real graphs.
Yeah. Like once we get my goal here is to get down the the naming structure a little bit, and then have a good solid description of what that structure, the shape is.
Sure.
And then have somebody say, oh, I have one of those. Here it is. And then now you and I have like actual like models to work with.
Awesome.
My idea here is to first talk through each shape individually in short episodes. And then after they're out, take people's graphs that they send in and just try to diagnose them without knowing anything about what they did. Cool. Right? Because I think, where did all this come from? This all came from people send me a lot of graphs, but not usually a lot of context.
Right. It's, hey, what do I do here? Look at this graph. And you're like, well, tell me what went into this day, because that would help. And
in a perfect scenario, I'd like to know that too. Like, I think that's right. But I think that after years and years of looking at them, you can kind of infer. Yeah. I think what happened here might have been this, right? We have this great argument online. I used to have this great argument with this woman in the Facebook group where I would always see a rise and then a plateau. And after hours, the plateau is not touched by the basal at all. There's some people, and then it comes down eventually. There was these two arguments that would happen online. Like one person would be like, that's basal. And the other person would be like, that's pre-bolus. And it is, if it is, and it isn't. Anyway, there's like this nuance there that I think is going to be interesting to talk through on all of these. So anyway, so we're going to get the naming together. Then we're going to break down what that naming exactly means. Then we'll get examples of them. You and I will record a short episode describing each shape. And then we'll let people send in graphs that are like 12-hour, 6-hour, 24-hour graphs. And then we can describe to you as we're going, here's a 12-hour graph. It's a plateau that goes into a this, that goes into that. And then we'll talk through how we think it happened.
Yeah.
All right.
That'd be great.
And then we'll start getting people who have the graphs with the information about the food. Then we can blind break them down and then layer over the information they said to see if we were right or wrong about what they did and where things happened.
Sure.
This is genius, Jenny.
Yay.
Yes. This is going to be real. Listen to me. This is not
do you want to just step in and like record all of my conversations with people all day long? Because this is what I do.
Yeah, I know. I thought to turn it into a podcast.
No, it is. It's a fantastic. I think because it'll take very consistent scenarios that people see over and over and apply an idea for how to work it out.
I think so too. I have been mentally blocked on this for years. This is obviously something that I've been thinking about for a long time. But I kept just saying like, well, it's not a video podcast. Like if you can't see it, then what's the point? Like you're never going to know. But I don't think maybe that's true. I think maybe there's a way to talk through it and
describe it.
And then, I have a website. I could say like, look, for this episode, the graphs on the episode, you can listen to it while you're staring at it if you want to. And if you don't want to, again, I think the repetition of us talking about it, what am I talking about here on a series? I'm talking about maybe by the time it's over, I don't know, 40 short episodes, like spread out over a year. You listen to those for a year, you'll know what you're doing by the time it's over.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
That's all. Damn it.
Yay.
Yay.
Good idea.
Was not all my idea. It's a thing that people have been foisting on me for a long time. I have thought it was a good idea. I did struggle with how it would work audio only. And then full respect to Steven, who was on an episode recently and just said like, why don't you just give all the shapes names? And I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. We're going to have to break down. I assume we're going to be using the same, probably less than 10 shapes, mostly when we're talking about stuff.
Well, I think also a lot of the other episodes that we've done together are a very good starting place for now understanding how to see the shapes. We have lots about nutrition. We have lots about the effect of different foods and lots about insulin use and how to time things right. So this will now make a lot of sense if you've listened to those episodes as well.
Yeah.
I think you can kind of bring it all together.
This is all going to culminate in the next couple of years with you. By the way, you have to continue to do this with me or you're stuck. You have to do this.
I'm stuck.
Yeah. To me, this culminates with us re-recording a pro tip series as if we've never done it before, because I believe that who I am and who you are has been informed a lot by all the conversations that we've had and all the time and experiences we've had since then. I'm interested to see what another recording of the same topics would sound like. I think it's possible it would. I don't know.
Well, and how many years has it been since we did that? Because
a long time.
Technology has also changed considerably.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about this today, actually. Technology's changed. AID systems are here. But in the end, whether you're on an AID system or you're not, the basis of what that pro tip series is about still it sticks.
Correct.
Right? It's about timing. It's about amount. It's about using insulin in the right places. It's about
knowing your settings.
It's almost turns the AID system into another variable.
Mm-hmm.
Because still in the end, your understanding of how insulin works.
It's the foundation.
It's the foundation of the entire thing. I almost said plateau because now I've said it 17 times today. A word I have not said in years. I think that you and I might be able to put together like a pan-ultimate kind of conversation that would going to end up encapsulating all the stuff you just talked about. Because nutrition, they might be a little longer, but listen, what are you guys busy with? Just listen to the podcast. It's free. You know what I mean?
Weed your garden and put the earbuds in, you know.
You're all not going to hire Jenny, and I can't come to your house. So, like, you have to figure this out on your own. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Of course. No, it's great. Thank you.
Cool. I'd like to thank the blood glucose meter that my daughter carries, the Contour NextGen blood glucose meter. Learn more and get started today at contournext.com/juicebox. And don't forget, you may be paying more through your insurance right now for the meter you have than you would pay for the Contour NextGen in cash. There are links in the show notes of the audio app you're listening in right now, and links at juiceboxpodcast.com to Contour and all of the sponsors. Thanks for tuning in today, and thanks to Medtronic Diabetes for sponsoring this episode. We've been talking about Medtronic's MiniMed 780G system today, an automated insulin delivery system that helps make diabetes management easier day and night. Whether it's their meal detection technology or the Medtronic extended infusion set, it all comes together to simplify life with diabetes. Go find out more at my link, medtronicdiabetes.com/juicebox. Hey, thanks for listening all the way to the end. I really appreciate your loyalty and listenership. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back very soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. My Diabetes Pro Tip series is about cutting through the clutter of diabetes management to give you the straightforward, practical insights that truly make a difference. This series is all about mastering the fundamentals, whether it's the basics of insulin, dosing adjustments, or everyday management strategies that will empower you to take control. I'm joined by Jenny Smith, who is a diabetes educator with over 35 years of personal experience, and we break down complex concepts into simple, actionable tips. The Diabetes Pro Tip series runs between episode 1000 and 1025 in your podcast player, or you can listen to it at juiceboxpodcast.com by going up into the menu. The episode you just heard was professionally edited by Wrong Way Recording, wrongwayrecording.com.